Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Rift European Championship. We've swapped out Hells for Stuart for our second game of the day, Formulation versus Team Dark. It's going to be another really interesting series. I think two of the teams that are more like dark horses in the upper bracket here, Stu. But firstly, given you were on the sidelines of that Na'Vi game, how do you feel about that whole series? It was crazy, right?
Well, it was an absolutely mental series. I really like how both teams, and I feel like this is teams in general, are focusing more on different picks in the drafts. You know, you had WREC focusing with the AP mages, you had Na'Vi focusing more on like the jungle and the support synergy. But overall, a really, really close series, and hoping for more for the second series.
Absolutely, me too. I'm very much looking forward to this second series and hoping we get to see all of the actions. Let's take a look over at. Sorry, say again. Stu, I mean, I'm thinking about this next series coming. What do you think of the? What do you think of it?
I feel like it's a very, very close matchup. I feel like Team Dark have a little bit of an edge over Formulation. I'm not really... I mean, it could go either way, to be fair. You know, we've seen Team Dark before. The likes of Elegi, the likes of Juicy playing really, really well. Even on the side of Formulation as well, though, you still got really strong players there as well. You had the Don in the mid lane, who had a really, really strong performance in the first series. Also had Zaura as well, which has originally played in mid lane before, has now moved on to the support role. So it's going to be interesting to see these two teams match up against each other.
No, I absolutely do. I think really we were expecting big things from these two teams. Which team is your favorite? I think coming into this one, Stu.
I did predict for Team Dark. I think most people did predict Team Dark as well. Again, it's very, very close. But I mean, whoever team wins here has to go up against WREC in the next round. So they're going to have to perform really, really well, and they have to kind of prepare themselves for that next matchup. But for this one, you know, with the new patch and everything as well, they're going to be seeing, maybe is Yuumi going to get banned? Maybe is she not? Is there going to be other priority picks? We'll have to wait and see.
All right, we'll take a look over at Hells, who's standing by with some key points for this game.
So on to the key points about these games. Both teams showed a very strong performance in the first series. They both won 2-0 and they showed a very convincing performance. Yet again, we don't know how good these teams are yet. It's going to be the same as WREC against Na'Vi like last time. We don't know what's going to happen in this game, right? And then after that, Team Dark has picked some crazy support picks that we have not seen before whatsoever. During any competitive game, really, they picked the Sona, which is a champion that is considered to be quite weak. In competitive, she takes a very long time to go through the late game, but Team Dark pulled it off. And Amumu support. Unbelievable. So I'm really hoping to see some of these crazy types of supports from Team Dark in today's game as well. And talking about Formulation, we have a lot of different flex picks. We saw them pull off the Galio set in the Dragon lane, which is really not what you're expecting, right? You're kind of expecting a mage or a Dragon lane or an ADC in the Dragon lane, but they picked the Galio set to win their game. So are they going to be pulling off some of these crazy picks as well? We basically have two teams with crazy picks. So who's going to be the craziest one and who's going to take this game? So to see that, we're going to be going back to Excalibur and Stuart to get into the draft.
Yeah, before we get to that stage, though, we of course need to take a look at the players that are on these rosters. Of course, the two teams that are really well skilled. I think a lot of people have high hopes for Team Dark as well. I think a team that has generated a lot of hype, especially with the likes of Elegi and things like King C in the middle. Let's have a look at these two teams, though, Stu. Any names that we should really be looking out for?
I think you mentioned already, Elegi already, and the mid lane matchup as well, Don against Ching Si, is going to be a really, really interesting matchup. I feel like both these teams are very, very good. I feel like they're just below, you know, we call it the Titan level of Wild Rift, you know, the top 4 teams. I feel like they're definitely in the top 10. And yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. You got UI in the top lane as well, Juicy against Zaura as well in the support role. There's a lot of very, very interesting matchups that it's quite hard to predict as well. I think even like, you know, what we've seen on social media and everything as well have been a very, very close. Some people think Formulation, some people think Team Dark.
I mean, I think it is going to be pretty much a 50-50 series overall. Let's take a look now. I think we got our resident analysis standing by with Hells. He's bringing you a new champion that he thinks is insanely broken. Let's see who he's chosen.
Who is it gonna be? Who is it gonna be? Of course, it's gonna be Yuumi. We all knew it was gonna be Yuumi. Last week we had the Orianna, and this week we have Yuumi. And Yuumi is a bit of a meme champion, but she's a serious threat as well. After the recent buffs, they buffed everything about her. everything. And she's gonna be slapped on your head, like we see right there, on either a Garen or an Olaf, and she's gonna absolutely hard carry the game. We saw her being banned every single game as the first champion in the last series. I really want to see what she can do. I really want to see what she can do. As you can see, the Garen Yuumi is also a famous composition. I want to see what she can do. And is she going to be picked? I really hope she is. As you can see, look at me. I'm the ADC now. Yuumi is going to carry the game. She just provides so many stats. So that is it for the Brokenness House. Back to the casters.
Well, we have no idea whether she's broken as hell because she's been banned. So we have no idea how good Yuumi is right now because she has just been on the ban hammer every single time that we got into the draft phase. Though I think the red side first bans do kind of indicate whether that was against Clue or not is difficult to say right now, but the red side first ban does kind of indicate that a lot of pro teams are fearing what Yuumi can bring to the table right now. And I think that's fair enough, given that she was already being played in a lot of pro play situations before she got a range of buffs for her entire kit.
I really want to see Yuumi top. I mean, we've seen it in other regions. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I want to see some of these weird picks that we've never seen before. You know, we've seen Yuumi in support role. We've seen Yuumi play with Olaf before for Team Queso last week. Give us some Yuumi. I mean, I'm expecting it to be banned on the red side with the likes of, you know, Jay, Set, Fiora, all these champions, Gragas as well, which has definitely gone up in priority because of the electrocute bus. But enough of talking, let's get into picks and bans.
Let's take a look at what we've got coming our way here. We have a Varus first ban for formulation, so that's going to be off the table. They don't want to pick it, neither do they want to give that over to Team Dark following Team Dark with the set ban. So no Yuumi first ban on Team Dark side. Whether that was against Clue or not remains to be seen. Obviously, we have Zawa on the side of formulation, and he's relatively experienced across the multitude of support champions, so wouldn't be surprised to have him having Yuumi in his wheelhouse. And as like you said, we could still see the potential for Yuumi top in some scenarios as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with the side of formulation, they've been playing these really interesting, unique champions as well. Like Fekko's been playing Galio AP carry in the duo lane. We've seen Zawa play set support, which obviously won't be played this game. And then you got Team Dark as well. They got so many different champions. I think one champion to focus on for Team Dark is going to be Darius for sure. Elegi, we all know how well he can play on Darius and how strong he is. So it's going to be interesting to see if they focus on Darius. But so far, is Rakan being focused away from formulation, and it is that Fiora banned away. I think Fiora being banned away is definitely fair enough because Rickstar and SE7, he thought his name there for a second. SE7 showed how powerful this champion is, and even if it's not played in the jungle, it can still be really strong in the Baron lane as well.
Absolutely, and we'll see what the final ban here is. It's Galio.
Yuumi is open.
So like you said, Yuumi is open, or Formulation Gaming if they want it. And that is the first time we're seeing Yuumi left open, of course, this weekend. It was banned in the previous series, both times red side one ban by Na'Vi. And it'll be Gragas that's prioritized here for Formulation Gaming. So maybe these teams not exactly expecting Yuumi to kind of be a high tier pick for them, or maybe the strategies that they want to employ.
I think the problem with like first picking Yuumi is that like the other team, for example, can take away the Garen and the Olaf, and then you're kind of stuck with like what other champions can you really pair with Yuumi. You got Jax available as well and other champions, but I think the main ones are Olaf and Garen. I think are the main ones that get paired with Yuumi. Gragas first pick priority. We've seen it in the mid lane. We've seen it as support. Really strong flex pick, especially with the electrocute buffs as well. Gragas mid lane going full AP. Gragas normally takes electrocute, just get them small burst trades. We do see Sync again taking Kha'Zix. This was a really strong champion for him against Control a few weeks ago. He was jumping around. He was playing really well on his Kha'Zix, so I'm not surprised to see that be in focus. And again, we see a Ziggs priority as well. A lot of players going back towards Ziggs, which we haven't seen in high priority for quite a while. It was always first pick or first ban on red side most of the time.
Sorry, my dogs are barking, so I accidentally muted myself. Obviously, we have Ziggs being brought back into the table. Irelia coming out for Don, I assume, which is a very big Don pick in the mid lane. So good to see him going back to some comfort in a very important series for them here. And as you mentioned, Ziggs being a priority is interesting, given that in 2021, it was pretty much always first pick, first ban, you know, in those scenarios. So Ziggs coming back into the meta in a strong way. Interesting to see whether Yumi could get paired up with an AP champion bot, obviously with those adaptive force changes on her W. It is going to be the Darius, though, that comes through. So they've basically revealed a significant amount of their top side of the map here. Obviously, Gragas can flex Stu, so he could still be support or jungle, but very interesting that Formulation are giving away that much about their roster, rather than about their comp this early on.
Yeah, interesting enough, maybe taking away the Darius away from Eligi is going to be a Riven pick as well. So Riven could be flex mid or top lane. But again, going back quickly to the Ziggs, it was, as you mentioned, quite high priority. But I think the thing is that now, there you go, you're going to see Team Dark banning out the AP champion. So you only really have Morgana and really Orianna left, and then you're kind of forced at the moment for Formulation to pick another AP champion. I mean, you have a bit of AP damage with Gragas, but if it's a support Gragas, you're not going to be building a lot of damage. But it could be jungle Gragas, it could be like full AP jungle Gragas. But the Darius is probably a deny away from Eligi, to be fair, as well. And Don, we know how strong he is on Irelia. We saw it a few weeks ago as well, how well he can perform. Interesting enough, the supports are being banned away, though, from Formulation. So maybe indicating that this could potentially be a Gragas support.
I wonder if they're going for like an Orianna pick, because surely you'd have to get rid of Orianna here. Over Corki anyway, for sure. Like getting rid of the Orianna, because she just seems like such a nice fit for this Formulation Gaming roster. We'll see what the final ban is here for Formulation Gaming. They have one more left to go. They took out the Alistair, so took away some of the engage and sort of mass CC potential. Alistair is traditionally quite good into heavy melee comps because you can often get a lot of value. They're also going to ban the Thresh. Let's see what Team Dark go for here. If they don't take the Orianna, I expect Orianna to get picked up by Formulation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it could still be, they could still rely on that AP damage source from Gragas, but, according to the bans, it looks like the Gragas is going to be in the support role, and it's going to be Jace. So Jace, interesting enough, has gone through the bans, or the whole of the bans. So it's could be flexed, Jace mid, Riven mid, Jace top, Riven top. You'll be definitely one of the two will be going into either lane. But yeah, now you stay for Formulation. You kind of need a little bit more AP damage if this Gragas is going to go down to the support role. It can still be flexed around, but with Orianna still available, you expect it to be a pickup for Fekko. It's Seraphine. It's the first time, if I'm not mistaken, the first time we've seen Seraphine in the WREC. I'm getting some flashbacks myself, and I used to play Seraphine Sona in Origin series last year. But a very interesting pick, to be fair, against this Team Dark composition.
I think it's nice with the front line that you've got. It provides a lot of direct CC, and they're going to go for the Nunu. So it's Seraphine Gragas bot, Nunu jungle, Darius Baron lane, and then obviously having the Irelia popping in for Don in the mid lane. That's very interesting. I think you are limited. I think your damage output is a little limited, in my opinion. I think obviously you're relying on the cycles of Seraphine to get most of your damage out in these team fights, but obviously it's very punishing. It's a very punishing anti-melee comp. What are Riven, Kha'Zix, and Jace gonna do? That's the Sona coming in from Team Dark that Hells was just talking about before we go into this game, but I will still stand by my point. This is going to be a rubbish game, especially for Riven and Kha'Zix, because how are you doing anything in team fights versus this comp?
Formulation have so much crowd control. Is if Kha'Zix jumps in or if Riven jumps in, they won't be able to move at all. Like you said, it's a little bit interesting to see the how much damage output the Formulation could do, because they're kind of reliant maybe on Don jumping in or Darius trying to get a few stacks as well, because Seraphine doesn't do as much damage. But we've seen these pocket picks before from Formulation. As mentioned, Fekko's played Galio down in the duo lane, loves to play them AP champions, and now we get a Seraphine from him as well. So that's really interesting. But yeah, as you said, Sona support, which they're going to really, really struggle, I feel like, in this duo lane, Team Dark. Ziggs and Sona, not really the best in terms of early game. And if you can get a pick, if you get a body slam or a little charm or something with the Seraphine onto Team Dark's duo lane, they could definitely be bursted down. But two very, very different team comps to what we saw in the first series.
Oh, absolutely. And again, no Yumi all the way through the picks and bans here. So these two teams obviously not seeing the value of that champion right now. It's interesting to see how teams approach the meta in different ways. A lot of teams I've seen on Twitter saying Yumi's insane, she's so good and competitive. And obviously for these guys, neither team particularly interested in picking her. Didn't fit a strategy that they're willing to play. Garen was open. We could have seen Garen Yumi. Jax was open. We could have seen Jax jungle Yumi. There was a lot of options that Yumi is really good with. But as we said, teams have different ways of approaching the game, and these two teams obviously have two quite different ways. Let's talk about the team comps that we're seeing then, Stu. What do you make of those two team comps, and what can we expect to see in game from them?
So in-game, definitely, I mean, for the likes of Team Dark, they're definitely going to have to play a lot more passive in the duo lane, let the Ziggs and let the Sona scale up, because they're going to be struggling a lot against this formulation duo lane, which can play a little bit aggressive at times as well. And you can see that in the early game, they're going to be trying to push in the duo lane. This mid lane matchup is going to be pretty much a skill matchup, I would say. You know, Jace has the extra range early on, but Don, we've seen him perform really, really well on Irelia before, so that's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. And we haven't really spoken too much about Kamau on the Nunu, which is, again, not really a pick that we see too often, but it does provide a lot of crowd control and is a kind of a frontline tank for the team.
I'm kind of interested to see, because traditionally, things like Riven and Kha'Zix, even Jace to an extent, they need to snowball versus lineups that are going to build a decent front line, right? When you're going up against a lot of CC and a big front line like the Nunu and the Darius, like traditionally you would hope that something like a Kha'Zix would be able to snowball pretty quickly, because otherwise you feel like Riven and Kha'Zix are going to really struggle to actually have an impact in these teamfight situations. So I'm kind of looking towards this early laning phase. I'm kind of looking towards some of these early moments in the game to see how these teams are going to approach kind of like trying to accelerate their lead. Because I really feel like the onus is on Team Dark to accelerate this game. Otherwise, they are just going to simply be unable to win team fights, really, through the virtue of their comp, other than really relying on Ziggs to do the majority of the legwork.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that as well. Kind of makes it seem like the Team Dark lineup as well is kind of split in terms of what they want to do, because they want to play passive in the duo lane, but then, as you mentioned, you got the Kha'Zix and the Riven that likes to get ahead and likes to snowball into the middle lane game and get a few kills under their belt before they can get into them team fights. But both junglers at the moment just invading on the other parts of blue side, just going for this split jungle at the moment, and Kha'Zix is going to stay on the field for now, trying to push down the mid lane. Got level 5 already. It's crazy how quickly junglers can get level 5. It's going to be able to get that first evolve straight away, which is most likely going to be the Q evolve. He'll probably wait until he gets around the outside, but that will most likely be the same. But look on the vision that formulation have. I mean, they know where Kha'Zix is as well. They know the blue buff has been taken away now. Sync knows that. He's going to be clearing the walls for now, and it's going to be that Q evolve to start things off. So Formulation know where Sync is. Most likely going to know that he's going to go back to base as well. So now it's on the side of Formulation. If they do want to make some early plays with this Nunu, which we spoke a little bit about the early game, but if the Nunu can gank, mid lane or even the duo lane as well with this snowball, he could definitely look to try and snowball himself.
I think when you've got an Irelia versus Jace mid as well, that's definitely one of those areas that you maybe want to try and get into and fight as much as possible. Mm-hmm. You also have the Darius matchup with the Riven, and traditionally, if you leave that matchup alone, it's very skill dependent in my opinion. But I think more often than not, a good Riven player beats a good Darius player. And Elegy just stepping in every time, trying to find some work here. Well, what's really interesting between these two teams compared to previous is we're not seeing the immediate transition into 1-3-1s. We're not seeing those bot laners kind of move their way around to the mid lane and then transitioning the Irelia and the Jace into a side lane. But we are seeing a full, massive group at the top side of the map. There's a flash engage onto the Sona from Zawa, trying to take advantage of that low HP pool that the Sona has, and will not get away with it for the time being.
Yeah, Team Dark had vision that Zawa was there, but still Sona was walking up quite aggressively, even though they knew that Zawa was in there. And again, it's more of the case of, Formulation have the kind of advantage with the support roams, because Sona can't really do that much. It doesn't really offer too much as she's roaming around the map. But Zawa being able to, he burned the flash himself, but he also burned the flash and the heal away from Juicy. So, now you see this little bit of what you just said, the mid lane, a little bit later than what we saw in the previous series. But again, it's going to be the Seraphine and the Ziggs just pouring down. And that's a first blood in bot lane. We missed it out. And it looks like Sync's jumping in as well. Yeah,
it looks like Don now maybe even going for 2. Don gets a double kill on the Irelia, and that is a Jace and a Kha'Zix down, and that's not what you want to see if you're Team Dark in this situation. A fed Irelia will be a nuisance for your comp.
We mentioned it already a little bit in Champion Select as well, how Don performed really, really well on Irelia last week. And it was the stun that lands as well, and it's just stacking the passive as much as possible, being able to get the resets of the Q as well. Sync tries to jump in as well, but I believe he does get stunned by the E in the end. He's able to reset as well. Flashes away, has the stacks for the extra attack speed, gets the reset on his Q, on his first ability, and being able to dash back into the Kha'Zix. And just really, really well played from Don, that just shows that he sometimes is, sometimes can be a bit of a flip player. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that, but when he gets his comfort champions, when he plays on the Irelia, you can see what he can offer for his team.
I'm pretty excited to see that they're already off to a great start here, Formulation. I think they double, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they double objectives, that 4-minute mark. They got the Herald, which they're dropping mid. They got the Dragon as well off the back of those plays that we saw Don make on the bottom side of the map. And now they're trying to put that Rift Herald through that mid lane tower. Not quite able to get it. They didn't have the resources to kind of convert fully, but it's a great start here for Team Dark. It's for Formulation Gaming. They're really, really putting the pedal to the metal against Team Dark. And I think they're maybe even going to be able to snowball to that bot lane where Don has stacked away from the bot side of the map.
Yeah, they weren't able to get in the mid lane tower. I think it was a little bit of a over-aggressive Rift Herald, because you do have the Ziggs in the mid lane as well. But they still do take the first tower of the game down the Dura lane. So using that pressure from the mid lane, from the Rift Herald, to allow Don to push into the Dura lane. So Rift Herald kind of works as a sort of distraction. You can see the mid lane tower is also at 600 health. So if they do win another team fight, they will most likely be able to take that mid lane tower eventually. But yeah, as you said, Formulation getting a bit of an early lead. And when you have the likes of Kha'Zix and Riven and a Jace as well on the side of Team Dark, they have a bit of scaling with the Sona and the Ziggs. But honestly, when you have like a Seraphine, and when like you have the frontline tanks of Nunu and Darius jumping on you, I feel like it's going to be really, really hard for Ziggs and Sona to kind of stay back and kind of play passive this game.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, right? That's kind of what we talked about from the initial draft phase, is that like this Kha'Zix and this Riven kind of makes sense if you can snowball and you can kind of take advantage of early ganks and maybe some early skirmishes where you're not going to be going full 5v5. But as soon as we enter into a 5v5 scenario where you have the front line of a Gragas bopping back and left, you have the Nunu ultimate, you have the Darius, like they're not going to survive very long. Neither are they going to be providing enough breathing room for the Ziggs and the Sona to do what they need to do in these team fights. So that's the major issue that I've got here, is that just from a compositional standpoint, Team Dark had to rely on just getting this Kha'Zix and getting this Riven really far ahead, and they just haven't been able to do that. And in fact, it's been the opposite. Those two champions have fallen behind, and that does not look good when you're going up against just the amount of frontline that you have to churn through on Formulation Gaming.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It seems that both the majors have picked up the anti-heal early on. Obviously, Feko wants to take the anti-heal, but Ziggs is in a lot of trouble. He's just dead. That's a killing spree.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem when you give Don this kind of start, especially on his Irelia. This is a champion that he's really well known for playing. And now he's just running away with things. Like he'll find that one opportunity, he lands a stun, and you're probably just dead. And in that situation, that was Mario who just got bopped. One mid now by himself, threatening a tower dive. Very lucky that he's got a bit of a wait until that minion wave turns up, and now you can see Sync and 30201 are coming to try and help out. That's the ultimate coming through. They have a huge amount of healing to work with, though, as the Seraphine bops her ultimate. In goes Zao once more. The flash away from 201 for the time being. The dunk comes through. It's the first one there. There's the exhaust. They'll trade 1-for-1 overall as we get a double kill now for Sync on the Kha'Zix, and he smells the blood for Darius. It won't be a triple, but it'll be a 3-for-1, and Team Dark come back big in the top lane.
Really, really huge ultimate as well by Juicy on the Sona, really just shutting down the members, and a little bit over aggressive. I feel like Formulation were kind of splitting calls there. It was UI going in, but then the rest of the team kind of wanted to back off because Feko and Zao were kind of stuck. But you can see that Kimawa is trying to take this Rift Herald. It's really hard to try and steal away the Rift Herald. As you can see, they're consumed plus the smite for the side of Nunu. Just really, really hard to get that objective control against the Nunu. And now you got the Infernal Drake in 10 seconds as well. So a little bit of gold back over to Team Dark, and they still like about 2,000, just over 2,000 gold behind. But now both teams are going to look towards this dragon with the Rift Herald already being taken down. All the focus now is going to be on the bot side of this map.
That's a huge chunk from Jace onto Feko. He's already lost half his HP from a single Shock Blast acceleration gate. Starting up this Infernal for the time being, we're going to see the Rift Herald drop mid. That will take that mid lane tower down for free. Unfortunately, the positioning of Team Dark is not good. to prevent this, but it was going to go down either way. And now they have to kind of deal with it before this dragon gets started up. This might be, in my opinion, one of the last team fights of the game where Team Dark really have a good shot at kind of getting what they want. But even then, the 5v5s, I don't think favor them, Stu. Really don't think they favor them.
Yeah, Feco's split at the moment from the rest of the team. There is the formulation are a little bit split at the moment. They try to use a Rift Herald as, like you said, kind of the distraction so they can get the dragon, but they're not able to get it in the end. The extra poke from the Darius and also the Ziggs as well, being able to stop the side of formulation from going down. You can see the poke damage already. Feco again, already down to half health, and this could give Team Dark the dragon. It looks like Seraphine is backing off, and so is Nunu, but Team Dark maybe don't know that. Actually, Feco's going to stay instead, going to try and heal up from the empowered W, but it's just constant poke at the moment. Both teams are playing very, very careful. They know how much they rely on this Infernal Dragon as well, and it does give a huge, massive buff to both teams, and Don's going in!
And he gets a huge engage onto the back line. That's one of the problems when it's a Fed Irelia. Now watch this Nunu. Zones out Jace and Elegy. There's nothing they can do. Sync wasn't even in place, and Don pops off again. Don't give this man Irelia. He'll do that to your team time and time again, and now that might be on the ban list for Team Dark going into the next game.
Yeah, we saw it last week, and we're seeing it this week as well. Donna being able to, I think it was an ulti flash, ulti flash, and then the Seraphine follow up as well, who also ulti flashed as well. So little things you can get as well. But it's another fight as well. Sync.
Still not a great one though, because they were hoping to get that top lane tier 1 in my opinion. So they get a kill, but it's not massively worth it for the trade they just made on the Infernal. That's 2 dragons. Don, really, to me, having one of the games of the tournament for himself right now. He's single-handedly carrying these team fights out. They look like they're going to go for that top lane tier 1. They should be able to get it with the Ziggs relatively easily now. And they will be able to do so. You can see some pings coming through. There is the snowball trying to catch out the Ziggs. Actually forces the flash. That was a little preemptive, because I feel like it was only the Nunu that was threatening at that point. But he didn't know that, so had to make the safe flash nonetheless.
Yeah, you can see that they did catch out UI in the end, and Zhao was here to support him though, and Sync unfortunately was tanking all the tower. But as you said, Zhao and UI kind of did their job in the end. Their job was to defend the tower, even though UI did die for it. Like you said, you'll take that trade any day. They were able to win the mid lane fight beforehand. They got the Infernal Dragon with the Mountain Dragon as well. The Mountain Dragon is going to help them a little bit with the poke as well from Jace and from Ziggs, because it will give them the little bit of extra shielding. This Sona at the moment, not really doing too much. There was a bit of a play in the top side of the map. We've seen Juicy play the Sona before, but before they were able to scale one. Elegy, I'm not too sure this is a fight you want to take.
Don actually managed to force it. Oh, he gets bopped right back in. Oh, great stasis. Great stasis gets picked off by a beautifully timed ultimate from Mario and the Ziggs, but they will get the tower nonetheless, which is really what they were after to begin with. Mario, though, he's going to stay around. Maybe an overextension. They didn't really need to clear that wave, and they might get punished for it as they're trying to go for the kill onto Kimao. He'll be able to flash away, but they will eventually try and take down Tower. He might be able to escape over the wall here. He has the support of the Seraphine, and I think he's going to get out of here. He will. That was a brilliant escape. Some flushes burnt, but, didn't get punished too hard for overstaying.
Yeah, we both thought that, I definitely thought as well that they were both going to die there, but Nunu being able to flash away and Zawa kind of splitting the team up and flashing the other way as well. So kind of Team Dark are in a bit of a Hail Mary at the moment. They're a bit all over the place, and even though formulations feels like at times they are making, I guess, mistakes, in the end they are still winning out in the trades. They are still winning out, and they do have a little bit of an advantage. But this is a great thing about Wild Rift, and it kind of showed with the first series as well, that even though with the formulation look like they were in control, it's not that much of a gold lead, and we're getting to a stage now about 15 minutes into the game where the death timers are going to be really, really long. And if Team Dark can try and win a team fight, they do have the Sona scaling up now, does have the Staff of Flowing Water, nearly has the Ardent Sensor. You got the Ziggs as well that has Luna's Echo, has the anti-heal and the Death Cap, and you're getting a few items across the board as well. But Team Dark really needs to try and find something. But like you said already from Champion Select, it's really hard for them to jump on and try to win these team fights when you have such a beefy front line on the side of formulation.
I don't see a good way to do it unless you are taking these smaller skirmishes like we've seen, where somehow Team Dark can come out on top. I just feel like draft-wise, They did a really odd draft for me. Like Riven Kha'Zix feels like it's too easy to exploit in pro play with the correct picks, right? I mean, Darius himself is good enough against those picks, but then you add the Gragas and the Nunu to it, and it made those picks unplayable, really, when it comes to teamfight situations. And we know how much Wild Rift is based around teamfights. So this is probably better, though. Going for the smaller 1v1s. That's going to be an old... Oh, they've chucked everything. They've chucked the kitchen sink at him. Oh, it's a 4-man Serafino into the knockup from Nunu. Ziggs doing what he can from the back line. But that was a disgusting wombo combo from Formulation. Absolutely obliterated Team Dark.
I'm getting flashbacks to my Seraphine. That was absolutely insane. What a huge
your
Seraphine.
Your never been that good. Your Seraphine's never been that good.
Okay. I did try. I did make a few flashy combos, but yeah, Six just going to die as well. That's going to be a dragon. Ooh, UI trying to flash forward as well, trying to get the reset with the ultimate, but unfortunately not. And yeah, that's another dragon over to the side of Formulation. But yeah, Don getting a little bit caught out, but he was just delaying. He was delaying for the rest of his team. The stasis was delaying, and you can see all the Team Dark just grouped together. Seraphine ulti flash again, and it was absolutely huge. And then it was also the root on top of that as well, onto the Nunu knockup, as you said, onto the Gragas barrel, and just an insane wombo combo. Now they're going towards the Baron, but the rest of Team Dark are trying to get here in time, and this is very, very risky, but it is a Nunu.
It's risky, but they're going straight in. That's going to be the ult straight onto the Darius for the time being. They're trying to buy some time as Don comes through. He will smite it away. He gets the kill. He's even going to win the team fight off the back as well. Beautiful play. They desperately tried. They didn't have their jungler, and you can't outsmite a Nunu. That is a huge swing for Formulation, now setting themselves up to take the rest of the game.
Yeah, this is a big, big lead now for the side of Formulation. Baron, 3 dragons. It said it was a bit even in the early game. It was a bit back and forth with Formulation. It seemed like they had control, but now they're in complete control, and it's now going to take what seems like a miracle now for Team Dark to try and get back into this, to be honest. And you know, you have to call out Fekko really on this Seraphine again. You know, another great ultimate. You know, I think multiple members on the side of Formulation are having a great game. It was Don in the early game making them flashy outplays, but as the game's gone on, it has been Fekko on this Seraphine, which we don't really see Seraphine too much, but it just shows how much she can offer. Sometimes you see Seraphine as a support role, but when Seraphine can get the farm as the AP carry down in the Dura lane, she's able to get a few items. She's able to do a lot of damage, and especially if Team Dark group up together as well, which they kind of put themselves in their own trap really, is grouping up together. But now you can see Formulation are playing this game perfectly, and I say that.
It's going to be trying to go into the backline. Fico does get away with it for the time being. There's this ultimate from Sona. 201 gets dropped, body to the floor, and now the body of Gragas into the backline as well, as one mid forced to flash away. Sync's going to do diddly squat here. No one isolated, no one low. And it is a 2-0 now. Those inhibitor towers are on the chopping block for Formulation. They'll pick up the first one, could very likely pick up the second. The healing from Seraphine is insane right now, and they are taking everything away from Team Dark.
Yeah, this is what they originally planned. The reason why I said they were playing perfectly is because, they're going in again, but I think that's going to be it now. Yeah, 3 inhibitors down. I mean, the reason why I said that Formulation were playing it so perfectly, because you saw the Don pushing the waves in the top lane with Baron. You saw the 3 members of Formulation in the mid lane taking Baron, and you saw UI pushing the bot lane as well. This is what works great with Baron buff, and what teams in the highest standpoints of the game can really focus on. You can see that Elegi was trying to get a pick in the bush as well, but again, the Seraphine charm on top of the root as well, and there was nothing really that the Team Dark could do about it. And you talk about the Kha'Zix as well in this play. You can see that Sync was trying to dash in, trying to get the members dead, but Sync can't do anything. You know, when Formulation group together, Kha'Zix doesn't get the isolation damage that he really wants, that he could try and get, but at the moment he can't find any isolation damage. Formulation are just grouping together in team fights like in that situation, and now with 3 dragons, 3 inhibitors down and Elegi's dead, yeah, this is pretty much GG.
Elegi did just die, as you mentioned. Honestly, the only person that I really think even really tickles this team from... Oh, it's the flash hook! That was spicy! Spicy! They take down the Sona instantly. Beautiful play from UI. And now they're going to go for the Jace too. He'll get locked up with the exhaust, try and get the ultimate on to Sync, who could do absolutely nothing here. Mario by himself versus the world. Formulation Gaming. It took him 20 minutes. It never really felt like a close game though. 1-0 to Formulation. And they will happily take that all off the back of a double kill for Don in the bottom side of the map.
Honestly, really, really impressed with Formulation. I was not expecting this coming into this series. I thought the Team Dark had a little bit of the edge. We did say it was going to be a close series coming into this anyway, but Formulation in the end, the Don, Feko as well, Zao even with the ultimates as well, and you can see these mid lane plays as well, the ultimates from Seraphine and the charms, and even when they're grouped together as well, the shielding and the healing of Seraphine as well. I spoke about the damage a little bit, but with the extra utility that Seraphine can offer as well, just shows you that, you know, it is a very, very unique pick, but it can work out as well.
I actually think, hilariously, this is a very classic Team Dark draft. Their draft like embodies the point. That was beautiful, by the way. That was such a nice Seraphine ult into Nunu knockup. The very like comp that they ran is like the classic of coin flip for Team Dark. It's the most coin flip comp ever. Nice secure on the Baron there from Kimau. And that helped Formulation really secure the game. The Baron was a complete death sentence for Team Dark. They just were not able to cope with how easy it was to take out those inhibitors. You see 201 on the Sona, time and time again, just isolated and picked off by this Formulation Gaming roster. And yeah, as you can see, nothing that Sync can do. Like, he jumps in and he's immediately forced to flush out.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, it's a bit of a flippy draft by Team Dark, kind of focusing on trying to get this bot side, trying to get ahead, but unfortunately for them, they weren't able to get ahead. And in the end, the Ziggs and the Sonar, they just got shut down so hard in the early game, and they weren't able to do that much. And when you have the likes of Kha'Zix and Riven that want to try and get that early lead, but then you have the scaling bot lane as well, it definitely felt like it was a little bit flipped. But as you can see across the board, Nunu didn't die at all, just building full tank in the end. And with all the shields and everything as well, Nunu just basically becomes unkillable. But Feko as well, 4-2 and 12. The Don as well, coming up absolutely huge, that 2 versus 1 outplay as well in the duo lane. And just overall, a great result. And you can see that actually Seraphine done the most damage. But look at Ziggs, you know, even though it felt like, this game anyway, I felt like Ziggs did absolutely nothing at all. Still does 35,000 damage, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he was having the time of his life. But at the end of the day, like we said, we did mention he's the only one that really stands a chance of getting through this roster. Also, you know, when you have a tanky frontline that can just soak damage, and Nunu can just heal up and soak damage and heal up and soak damage, you know, you're going to get those situations. That was a really exciting first game. Great performance from Formulation Gaming. Shall we take a look at the play of the game now, Stu, and see who exactly claimed that prestigious title of having the best play from that first game in the series?
It could go either way, to be fair. It could be, okay, it had to be this.
It's got to be this, yeah.
The Don being able to delay the rest of the members, and then perfect flash ulti by Feko, being able to follow up with the Nunu snowball, with the Gragas barrel on top of that. But, I mean, even though he didn't get the play of the game, I have to give a big shout out to Don as well for that 1 versus 2 outplay in the duo lane as well. I think it was between one of them 2 players. But yeah, the insane flash ulti Fekos that landed that game were absolutely insane.
I fully agree with you. Like, that was insanely well played from Formulation. I think compositionally they just drafted better. Like, there was nothing Team Dark's comp could do that game. If it didn't snowball and they didn't get it like going crazy out of control, Team Dark I don't think ever really has stood a chance just from the draft alone. However, they may now stand a chance in the second game of the series. The slates will be reset. We'll be going back to the drawing board of draft. We'll see if Team Dark can get themselves back into this game. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to the WREC European Championship. I'm Scoundrel, joined by Stuart for our second game of this series between Team Dark and Formulation. Formulation absolutely popped off, both in the draft and in the game itself, securing themselves a win in the first game of this series. But of course, we still potentially have 2 more games to go, see whether Team Dark can bounce back and get themselves into the running. I've got a bit pixelated, but I'm sure the team's clarity has not gone pixelated because, you know, at the end of the day, these guys are on fire right now, playing in the winners bracket of our competition. Stu, that game, I mean, just a quick reflection. Do you think it was kind of lost from draft, or were the moments that Team Dark could have taken advantage of?
I think the draft was definitely a little bit strange from Team Dark. Like I said before, you know, picking this very, very weak bot side and kind of giving away that control that that Formulation had on the bot side of the map, and then picking these kind of interesting, you know, jungle picks. I mean, Sync is very, very comfortable on Kha'Zix. I think they were just going for comfort picks, but as a team comp in general, it just didn't really fit together for Team Dark. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to work out in the second pick and ban phase, because I want to see some changes from Team Dark.
Absolutely, I think they're going to need to, and I think Hells is on the sidelines with his key points from that first game to also have his opinion on how this should be changed up for Team Dark.
Yeah, that's right, Alexandro. And talking about a bad draft, indeed, we had the same crazy picks, and it seems like my camera is having some issues again, but we had the crazy picks again. Sona coming through from Team Dark, Gragas and Seraphine go through Formulation Gaming. Sona and Zinx is very weak in the early game, and they know that, but strong in the late game. And that was the whole idea behind it. But they weren't quite able to get to the late game. They just couldn't get that late game power of the Sona 6, and Formulation Gaming had an absolutely wombo combo composition. It was amazing to see them do these crazy wombo combos with Seraphine, with the Nunu, with the Aurelia, with everyone. Just absolutely insane composition, and they made it work. And talking about them making their composition work, Formulation Gaming played very well around their composition. First of all, you know, they allowed the Aurelia to split push, have those 1 versus 1s, where she was able to absolutely destroy the matchup, because Aurelia is a really strong 1 versus 1 champion. And then also, they were able to do those crazy combinations with their composition with the Gragas and the Seraphine. So that is it for the key points. Back to the casters to head into the draft for the next game.
Thank you, Hells. Yeah, lots of things to think about, I think, coming into this second draft phase. Comfort definitely felt like the name of the game for Team Dark. And I'm having flashbacks to when we saw like Doom Kha'Zix with Snitch Riven in like the Origin series last year, and that went just as badly, to be completely honest with you. I don't think they're picks that have that much space in competitive, and won't have as much space in competitive as Wild Rift continues to mature as an esport, because they're, in my eyes, even on PC, I've always seen them as solo queue picks. They've always been picks that prey on disorganized, you know, teams, and I think that's not really what you expect to see in competitive. So picks and bans underway here, Stu. Any changes that you want to see immediately?
Aurelia ban, I think, might come out for the side of Team Dark. We're going to be seeing the sides. It is going to be Team Dark going over to the blue side this time. So it is going to switch things up definitely in terms of bans as well. But yeah, now that Team Dark are on the blue side, they kind of have that flexibility now. They don't have to ban away these OP champions. I say that Gragas is going to be the first ban, so taking that away from Zawa. But yeah, Team Dark overall, just what they need to try and focus on the champions that were kind of really, really strong for Formulation. You know, Gragas is a great flex pick. Maybe they don't want to prioritize that. Aurelia could be another one as well. I don't think you need to ban out the Seraphine, but they could maybe ban out the Seraphine as well, because Fekko looked really, really strong on it.
Yeah, I think like the Seraphine absolutely was something that proved a bit of an issue, but I think it was more like compositionally. I think that there are things that you can do to alleviate Seraphine as a pain point. You know, there's a reason Seraphine hasn't been as strong as she was last year in terms of competitive play, because I think people have figured out kind of ways of getting around Seraphine and drafting comps. They're very much Varus orientated or poke orientated, or just playing a bit further away, you know, or with more direct CC to kind of like stop it and isolate Seraphine. So it's going to be the Nunu ban from Team Dark, which has left open quite a few things. The Aurelia still there, of course. Now, Elegi and I think King C also play Aurelia, so you could see an Aurelia picked up for Team Dark if they wanted to, but I will also stress that I think Aurelia is good in certain matchups and not good every single, you know, in every single case. We'll see what the final ban is here for Formulation Gaming. It's going to be set. So they're going to ban a set, and that now leaves that first pick open for Elegant.
There's a lot of picks that are open, to be honest. Jace, one other champion we actually haven't seen at all from the first series and also the second series is Camille as well, which seems to really fallen down the list for both teams. But you have Galio available, you have the Darius, and there you go. You know, again, more comfort for Team Dark. They don't want the Darius to be taken away for the side of Formulation. They want Elegi on that comfort pick and kind of, I wouldn't really call it his one trick because he's really, really good with other champions, but more of a champion that he's very, very comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, Darius is a pretty solid blind pick. I will say that, like, Garen is up if they wanted it, and Garen has been shown to be relatively solid into Darius, but it's going to be Keemao. I imagine Keemao playing the Olaf in the jungle. That's something that has been banned away, was banned away against Vex in pretty much all of their series. So that's going to be banned away here. Now we're going to wait to see what the second pick for Formulation Gaming will be. Could also see Olaf top. It's not completely out of the realms of possibility. And that is obviously because Olaf top is a relatively good answer into Darius as well. You generally tend to out-trade him early on. However, Olaf top can be a bit risky, and so that's why you don't often get it see it get played as much.
I'm kind of upset with this Rakan pick. When I saw the Olaf, I was like, wait, Olaf Yuumi? Are we getting flashbacks to Team Queso with Olaf Yuumi? But unfortunately, it's Rakan. And Sync again, going back to this Kha'Zix, again, it's just more comfort for Team Dark. And it doesn't seem like they kind of really have, I would say, like any real strategy as well. They're also picking up the Galio as well, which most likely will be going over to the support and over to Juicy. But again, you know, you're picking like kind of team fight with Galio, but then you're picking a Kha'Zix as well in Assassination, and Don again is like, you know what, just give me the Irelia, I'll just run over Team Dark again.
Yeah, I think the addition of the Galio to me does make this feel a bit nicer for Team Dark. Like Galio can help complement Kha'Zix in a way. Kha'Zix jumps in, then you always have the backup of the Galio to help keep that team fight under control. I do much prefer the draft that we're seeing coming out from Team Dark this time around. I think they're thinking about it a bit more rather than just going down the lines of let's pick what we're good at and hope it works. I think they've realized that the Formulation Gaming roster is good enough to kind of say, well, it's LG's Riven, so we'll do this, and it syncs Kha'Zix. Let's figure out how we deal with that. They have banned away some of the good anti-melee picks, though, that we've already seen, and they've also picked up a good anti-melee pick in the form of Galio. So something to remember is that Nunu and Gragas, they were good key components of dealing with this Kha'Zix and this Riven in the previous game, and this time around we have a Galio, which adds another tool taken away from Formulation, and another tool that's obviously really good for Team Dark.
Yeah, indeed. There's going to be a lot of AP champions that are going to be banned out now. Morgana's already banned out in the first banning phase. We got Diana being banned out. We got Ziggs being banned out. Yuumi has also been banned out as well. Interesting enough, I mean, could have been paid for the side of Team Dark. I don't think that they were really thinking about Yuumi, to be fair. I'm not too sure if it was the best pick for Team Dark, but nonetheless, is banned away. Is Corki banned away as well? So for the side of Formulation here, I'm looking at Orianna. You know, as a last kind of AP champion, you have to pick up the Orianna here. If you don't pick up the Orianna, it's going to be taken away from you from Team Dark, and then you're kind of left with not really anything else, to be fair, unless you go for Seraphine again. But to be honest, I mean, it can still work pretty well. I mean, you have the Galio to kind of give you the AP shield from the ulti, but it can still work. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Ori here.
Yeah, well, Seraphine, that's interesting. Like I would have liked the Orianna, but the Seraphine does give you some nice combination with the Irelia and also with the both the Olaf and the Rakan, to be honest with you. A lot of CC on this team, and so a lot of ways to, again, try and keep this Darius and this Kha'Zix kind of like incapacitated, I would say. Let's see how Team Dark choose to round out their combo. I'd love to see, well, Varus is banned, actually, so I was about to say that, but Orianna could work for them. I will say that you may be lacking a bit of consistent AD damage. But that might be the Galio like Senna bot lane potentially. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely looks like it is the fasting Senna in the bot lane, unless they go for another pick here and maybe go for Galio in the mid lane. But Senna allows you to get the extra range. It's going to be Zed as well. So there's a lot of assassins on the side of Team Dark. But again, if they get caught out in a team fight, I don't think there's a way that Team Dark win this. You know, you got Olaf running towards you. You got the combo of the Rakan quickness, also the Seraphine ultimate on top of that as well. A lot of assassins. You do have the backline threat of Senna as well, which can keep the distance. But to be honest, Team Dark want to go in. But when you go in and when Formulation are grouped together with all the shields and healing that we kind of already saw from the first game, it's just going to be really, really difficult for Team Dark to try and get the kills.
I think they're trying to think about how they can immediately blow up the Seraphine lane, like every single situation where she appears. And I think that's why the Zeds come through. But I do much prefer the Team Dark comp this time round compared to last time round. I think they've drafted something that has a little more legs. I will say that there is a blanket rule in Wild Rift Esports right now, the more CC, the better. And so like having things like the Galio are really nice additions. So I think it's a better draft in my eyes from Team Dark here, Stu. Whereas Formulation, they've shifted things up a little bit. We're going to see Graves in the jungle, and it looks like it is going to be UI playing Olaf top, unless it is Graves top, which we obviously have seen from time to time. But what do you make of that Formulation gaming comp?
Very, very similar to the previous one. Again, very, very team fight heavy. It seems like you do have the side lane pressure from Don and from UI, but it's all about, you know, trying to get grouped up. It's all about using the Rakan ulti, using the Seraphine ulti, and then you have the follow up as well by using the Ragnarok from Olaf and also Irelia jumping in as well. But as you said, for the side of Team Dark, it's all about the assassination. It's all about trying to get on them squishy carries, especially the Seraphine as well, because if you leave Fekko pretty much untouched on the Seraphine, we've already seen from the first game what he can do, and we're going to have to see what he can do in the second game as well.
Oh my god, this is going to be a good one. I mean, I think Team Dark have drafted something that is better, is got more foundational success from the draft phase, and potentially can get them back in this series. But of course, the way the Formulation played, they were leaving nothing, absolutely nothing out in that first game. We'll see if they can take this into a quick 2-0. I'm excited about this one.
Yep, it is going to be a very, very exciting Formulation against Team Dark. So it is going to be Olaf in the Baron lane and Graves running through the jungle. It's going to be Fasting Senna in bot lane. I mean, for those who don't know what Fasting Senna is, it's basically going to be Galio taking all the farm. And it's going to be Galio taking Electrocute as well. When we talk about that, UI and is already taking trades against Elegi.
Oh my goodness, Elegi just going toe for toe. Oh! And I mean, UI... you never trade with an Olaf level 1, man. Like, you're never going to win that. Surely you know that. I mean, that's the point of Olaf, right? It's cheese. Olaf is a cheesy pick, Stu, and he just cheesed the ever-living daylights out of him.
He did indeed. Maybe Elegi felt a little bit confident with the stacks of the bleed passive for Darius. But yeah, Olaf, if you don't know, if he gets the lower he gets on health, the more attack speed he gets, which makes him really, really strong. And the axe as well, he can keep picking it up. He can keep throwing it over and over again. And that's an early goal lead already for the side of Formulation, early advantage for the top side. I mean, you spoke about Elegi, how comfortable he is on Darius, but maybe he's not used to this matchup. Maybe he hasn't played this matchup that often. That's why he kind of felt a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, as mentioned, Senna in this duo lane, going to be Fasting Senna. So Senna's going to be poking down the Seraphine and the Rakan, trying to get as many souls as possible. And you will see the Galio picking up all of the farm. And interestingly enough, I actually don't know what rune Fekko took first game, but it's Electrocute on Seraphine this time, and also Electrocute on Galio as well. But enough of that. Zawa's in the mid lane now.
Zawa's going in, and that is going to be another kill for Don. I mean, it's too easy for these guys, man. They are just taking free kills, and Team Dark look a little lost, little out to water right now.
Yeah, they definitely look a little bit lost, and the rotations at the moment on the side of Formulation are really what winning them this series so far. Zawa has been so good, you know, on the previous game with Gragas being able to roam around the map, and now on the Rakan as well, which you could say is a more of a playmaking champion than Gragas as well, but. Yeah, I feel like Zawa's been kind of under the radar, really. I mean, I spoke a little bit about Zawa before, about he used to play in the mid lane before for, I believe it was Singularity last year in the Origin series, and now moving into this support role as well. And he has the playmaking potential, and he has, you know, he is very, very comfortable, and he does know the game very, very well.
Yeah, I think he's really smart. He's going to go straight in. Oh, he has to flash. I mean, that was going to be risky, I think, for UI. Sync's going to flash in, looks for the kill. Doesn't quite find it, but one mid's coming through. He's going to have to use the ultimate as well. He will drop. But that was a lot of resources that were burnt right there for the simple kill on UI on the top side of the map.
Yeah, flash for Sync, ultimate down for Zed as well. So probably won't be down. The ultimate for Sync is down as well, but probably won't be up, sorry, for the Dragon and the Rift Herald that is going to be coming in about a minute or so. So they might have it up and available. Is both of them about a quarter of the way done as well. But we see this this mid lane kind of priority that both teams like to get, and we kind of see this as a normal thing now. The other thing is like Galio Senna doesn't really have the best pushing power, but I guess neither really does Seraphine as well at the same time. Both of them kind of just have like one ability. You have the Galio Q and also the Seraphine Q as well to try and clear the ways, but both teams don't have the best mid lane priorities. But it's going to be interesting to see what objective both teams try and focus on. You can see the UI and Zara at the moment already looking to try and get some vision control around this Rift Herald area, and Kimau is also up here as well, so we're going to be trying to look to focus maybe on the Rift Herald, and it looks like that's going to be the focus for Formulation this game.
Yeah, it could be the case. Elegy is actually kept himself relatively even with UI as well, so not too far out of the course. Doesn't look like the setup is there right now for Team Dark. They are losing out on the Rift Herald for free, and they haven't even got a good setup on the Dragon right now, so have given away quite a lot in terms of objectives. It looks like we are getting a setup towards that Ocean Drake, and I don't think that Formulation are going to be too concerned about it. It looks like they're going to let it go.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to let go. I mean, Sync went back to base, so they were a little bit late. But look, they haven't even started the Dragon. They're too worried about starting the Dragon because, you know, in Wild Rift, you just come out of the base so quickly. When you go back to base and when you run back onto the Rift, you get so much extra movement speed as well. So they don't want to risk the 50-50 of the Dragon. And as you said, they're just going to give the Rift Herald over for free as well. You can see that on the side of Formulation, they do have all the items completed already, pretty much. Black Cleavers across the board. Laid the Rune King for Don in the mid lane, and also that Luden's Echo as well. So again, it's kind of Formulation being the ones that are kind of being the more proactive this game as well. And Team Dark, again, as you said already, they feel a little bit lost as well, and they're not even going to try and take this Dragon. They're just going to, what seems like they might just give it up.
It's interesting. Very interesting from Team Dark. I feel like they could have been way more proactive in their setup. I guess they're just worried about the impact of the Seraphine ultimate at this point in the game where they aren't exactly ahead. So they're just maybe worried about walking into a 5v5 where they potentially just lose. Very interesting. They're giving away a lot here for free. They've even given away the top layer, the first tower of the game, and have yet to convert into the Dragon. This is very scared stuff from Team Dark right now.
Yeah, it looks like they just played a lot more passive, but the problem is if you play passive in the early game, then you're just giving up so many leads. You know, as you said already, Rift Herald's gone down. That's also allowed Formulation to take the first tower of the game, so they got a little bit of gold for that. They already have nearly a 2,000 gold lead as well. They're trying to get this mid lane priority again. The Senna's getting quite a few stacks, to be fair, at the moment, but with Senna, we're going to have to wait until we get into the real mid and late game, kind of, I would say like 12 minutes and above, really, until the Senna becomes really, really impactful. But now you have this wave of pressure that's always going to be going down into the duo lane, which Don is always going to be pushing out. It just seems like both teams just don't want to take Dragon at the moment, and this is very different to a lot of games that we've seen from the WREC, but it just shows you how much pressure these two teams are under as well, because if you win this, you get into the next round of the upper bracket, which is they're going to be the semi-final in the upper bracket. So a lot at stake for these two teams, but even if they do lose, they can still go down to the lower bracket as well. So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, there's still got some lifelines if you lose this series. The winner does go on to face WREC, I believe, in this side of the bracket. So you've still got a tough test ahead of you, even if you do win. But regardless, Formulation looking pretty strong thus far. Some item spikes to talk about as well, Stu. The Seraphine Ludens. We have double Black Cleaver stacked up. We also have the Blade of the Ruined King. We're going to try and find a pick onto Elegy here. He's going to be the target. We're going to get the Grand Entrance coming through. That's exactly the combo they were looking for. That's a great ultimate from Seraphine for the time being. We're still going. We're still going very strong as UI just popping off. No one can take this man down. Zed tries to go in, but the stasis is already there for Fico, and that is Zed shut down. That is a huge win from Formulation Gaming. And they're going to get the Dragon to boot as well. Again, just superior in the team fights.
Yeah, again, it's the team fights. I kind of mentioned it a little bit in draft as well, when Formulation group up together with all this shielding and healing that the Seraphine can offer, with the Rakan quickness, with the Seraphine ultimate as well. Sync's going to try and steal it. He does steal it.
The really big win. Just scraping something out of that situation was absolutely needed for Team Dark. And now, maybe even looking to capitalize on their superior HP bars and push down that mid lane tier 1. You can see Seraphine a little reluctant to stay much closer now. You can see Elegy has that dunk available, doesn't have the flash, but has got the blast cone, maybe looking to get on to Fico at the same time. Zawa's trying to punish, but no one really there to kind of follow up. That's a bit of a boon in morale, you would feel, for Team Dark.
Yeah, they're not able to take the mid lane tower. They might also be stuck as well. Elegi playing really, really aggressive. He's just going to be knocked up here.
I mean, they're just going all in. I mean, that's Don going for the first kill. They're going to find the kill with UI, picking it up. It'll be the ultimate from one mid, but he used it on a very low HP target, 1-for-1 at the end of the day. Formulation Gaming, very aggressive, maybe to get some kind of advantage to set up for this Rift Herald. Fico has got 0 HP, 0 mana, rather, by the way. He tries to use an ultimate. Sync manages to dodge it out, though. That's a really big win, honestly. I think at Formulation Gaming getting a little bit twisted around this objective. Looks like they're going to back away for the time being, though. We'll smite it down as UI forced to jump and run, make sure he doesn't get caught out, and actually Mario will end up picking up that River Scuttler. Then now there's a bit of mid lane priority. Could end up being the mid lane tier 1 dropping, as well as the bot lane tier 1 too. It's a good play for Team Dark overall. Oh, they engaged the
is going in, though.
Oh, they're onto Senna. They're too greedy. I thought they maybe had the chance, but they did not. A little bit too greedy coming out from Formulas, or rather from Team Dark right here in Formulation Gaming. Aptly punished. Zawa has been an absolute beast on this why did I forget his name? Rakan. Absolute beast on this Rakan.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fights, but I don't know if it's going to stop.
They keep going for it for the time being. That's going to be a taunt coming up from 201. They're trying to tag down Elegy. He's the next target. He got a huge heal off. Absolutely a monstrous heal as the flash comes out from Fico. Just stop, guys. I need to stop talking. Just stop. I need to catch my breath. There's too much action going on.
I think you can take a breather now. I think both teams are going to back off. That was a very interesting last, 2-3 minutes of action. We saw they're still going for Sync and being able to take away the Ocean Dragon. The next dragon's going to be Cloud as well. And then it was kind of a situation where it was just like, you're going back to base, we're going to make a play, but then you're going to go back to base and we're going to make a play. And then it was kind of little oversteps here and there as well. Both mid lane towers are very, very low. Unfortunately for the side of Formulation, they weren't able to take the mid lane tower with that Rift Herald. But overall, I would say definitely a win for the side of Formulation. Even though they did lose the dragon, they did take double Rift Herald. They were able to take the tower as well in the Dura lane for the time being. And they can look to try and get this mid lane as well, but this is definitely feels like it's a little bit closer to the first game. I mean, Team Dark is still kind of a little bit all over the place. I feel like their communication is definitely not up there, because it seems like, some players want to go in, some players want to back off, and Formulation, they just want to try and group together to try and work out this Seraphine Rakan combo to try and get to team fights.
It's like how you tackle that, I think, right now for Formulation Game, or rather for Team Dark. Alexi's already popped the Gargoyles, by the way. That Stoneplate enchant already used. That's a big cooldown, actually, that you maybe look to exploit around the start of this next dragon. So very interesting. How does Team Dark approach this is the question, right? How do you deal with the Seraphine impact in these team fights? And Zawa, again, once more, they know that Elegy doesn't have that get-out-of-jail-free card of the Stoneplate. You're going to put a bit of damage down on him before these objectives start to spawn.
Yep, it's going to be the Cloud Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. So, I mean, to be honest, if Formulation could get this Cloud Dragon, the extra movement speed that they could get onto like Olaf, Graves, Irelia as well, even the Rakan, that's going to definitely help them out a lot in the team fights. It looks like both junglers are heading their way down to the Dragon at the moment. Don's gone back to base, so he's going to be a little bit slow. Only 36 stacks for Senna. I feel like that's really, really low. I could be wrong, but that does seem really, really low.
Oh, the flash ult away to try and buy some time as Elegy pops that Stoneplate enchant once more. We've already seen the hero's entrance. It's blow for blow in terms of big ultimates for the time being. And now, oh, UI, he just wants some. He just wants some, and he's straight into the fight with Don and onto the backline immediately as we see the Kha'Zix forced out of the fight. Sync no longer relevant right now as Elegy keeping himself in that fight. Has a little bit of tank, but he doesn't have much left now as they go straight in. Don onto 201, flashes away. Don follows him and gets him over the wall. It's going to have to be another miracle steal coming out from Sync should he want to go for this dragon. Looks like he doesn't really want to risk it this time round, and it will be a dragon for Formulation Gaming. They are just better in these team fights, and they are catching out Team Dark every time.
Insane. Even though Fekko used his ultimate, they still had Zal with the ultimate with the quickness straight afterwards, and You have one ultimate down, you've still got the other up and available. And, you know, Elegi already used his stone plate, already used engage as well. Again, it's Elegi stepping really, really far forward, trying to get this combo with the Galio. But this time it's Feko actually flashing away with the ultimate. So in the first game, he was flashing in, but now he flashed out away to safety. You can see Zawa here as well. You can see UI. UI goes in, Zawa goes in as well, and they completely burst down the members. This team fight started off really, really slow, to be fair. Just fights happened left, right, and center, and there was, again, just really, really low for members. But again, it's Elegi again, just playing really, really far into the front line. And I feel like it's very uncharacteristic for him to be able to just play this aggressive when the rest of his team are not really there to follow up, because we know what this guy can do. We've seen him play before. He used to play on WREC.GG before last year. We know how strong he is, but it seems like this game, you know, he's 0-4 at the moment. And it seems like he's just kind of a little bit out of it this game.
By the way, MVP warded the tri-brush that allowed Don to follow Galio over the wall as well. Just that little tri-brush ward, and Don was just very easily able to jump over the wall and follow 201 and take him down. Speaking of which, item spikes for him. He's at the dead man's plate with the Rod of Ages. Pretty beefy. He's got a decent amount of gold to back him up. Senna's got a decent amount too, at sitting at the Iceborne Gauntlet. So a lot of control. There's 3 black cleavers, by the way. 3 black cleavers. For Team Dark. They're going to try and take out Sync, but he'll manage to escape relatively easily. There's also 3 black cleavers for Formulation Gaming. Well, there are black cleavers everywhere. Is the item just that broken now? Like, is the item itself just that insane?
I mean, we've even seen things like Black Cleaver Corki as well, but you know.
And speaking of, we have the engage coming through. That's going to be the hero's entrance for the time being. Doesn't knock up the Olaf, but there is the follow-up from Seraphine. The exhaust comes down, another kill. A killing spree for Fico on this Seraphine. In the meantime, the man that we've heard very little from, Kemal, just pummeling away with the shotgun on the sidelines. Huge amounts of damage coming through as the healing there to keep his team relatively intact. And time again, they ask that question of Team Dark. Are you ready to team fight us? And Team Dark think maybe, Team Dark think yes, but they can't. They can't. And Zawa once more. I mean, I know that the eyes have been on Don and on Fico, but for me, Zawa has been an absolute beast this series. Especially on this Rakan, he's been so good. Really, really great engagers coming through. We'll look back at that engage now, Stu.
Yeah, of course. I mean, again, it's kind of the problem of Team Dark's composition. Again, when it comes to team fights, they have the Galio this time, but again, they're running double assassin as well, and they have to try and get onto the squishy members. But how can you get onto the squishy members when you have such a big front line on the side of formulation? And with this Galio as well, not building full AP damage, there's a lot of AD damage over the side of Team Dark, but this could be it.
This could be it. They're going in on Stat Dragon. They're going to try and go for it, but it gets smited away for Formulation. They're still going. They're still fighting. They're still taking the blows. No one going down yet, but it's unstoppable for Fico as he's kept in the pit. He's by himself. Ultimate flush over the wall. He's still going. Fico escapes. It is a 1 for 2, but the Dragon, or rather Baron, firmly in Formulation Gaming's hands. We see the next spawn timer is that Elder. Pings coming across for Team Dark. They are going to want to fight for that one because that's a huge objective that has now been lost.
That was really, really risky. I was kind of worried for a second there for the side of Formulation. No, Sync already showed that he can win the smite fights, and in the end, it was coming out to take away the Baron. As you said, it was a 1 for 2 trade in the end, but most important thing for the side of Formulation is they were able to take the Baron in the end. I know you forgot the name there for a second, but yeah, so you can see you can see that Juicy on this Galio, again, I briefly mentioned it, going for a bit more of a tankier build instead of full AP Galio, which means that there's just a lot of AD damage sources on the side of Team Dark. You can see across the board, everyone has, I was about to say Ninja Tabby, everyone has plated steel caps on the side of Formulation. You'll see Randuin's Omen from Olaf as well, so even more armor. You see Dead Man's Plate and even more armor from Rakan as well. So there's a lot of armor on the side of Formulation. I feel like there's not enough AP damage as well, and there's no way that they can get through this front line of Formulation.
Yeah, you're completely right. I think the problem is that you are lacking a really good AP damage source, and you actually have a decent front line to take advantage of that on the side of Formulation, as you said. Trying to catch out Zawa, 201 gets a pick, but it's onto the Rakan in the meantime. Don into the back by himself, double stun, big ult from the Fico. It's absolutely insane. Just complete devastation. I know Fico drops to 1 mid in the back line, but or either to Sync overall, but it's just Formulation just destroying these team fights.
Sync's going to try and maybe kill you. If he can kill UI here, this is going to be really big. Unfortunately, won't be able to flash forward as well. Sync could be in a little bit of trouble, but Sync, this is desperation for him now. But yeah, he's going to go down.
He's going to go down. Don finds the kill now. One mid, tries by himself to go 2v1, but he will not be able to. They're just trying to zone them away from that Elder for the time being.
Nice
Don
flash.
is good enough by himself. Should be able to follow up on one mid here, and he does. And that will be Elder and a blue team ace as they take them down with the Baron in tow as well. You can't help but feel this is going to be a nice, clean 2-0 for Formulation Gaming.
Yeah, it does seem like in the end, the Elder Dragon is going to go down. We're going to take a look back at that fight again. This time, Galio trying to play a little bit aggressive, but Don onto the backline, the double stun, onto the Seraphine ulti as well. Seraphine was all the way in the backline. I mean, he died in the end. I mean, you have double assassins that are jumping onto Seraphine and you don't have anyone there to protect you. I mean, at the end of the day, you are going to die, but before he died, he was able to get the clutch ultimate out and the clutch charm over, and Team Dark were kind of charmed away themselves. And I feel like this whole series, they've been charmed as well because, yeah, they're just falling to absolute pieces at the moment. And honestly, I'm really, really surprised from this series. I feel like Formulation have this in the bag now. And honestly, going into this, we were thinking, you know, most of the analysts as well, most of the broadcast team were like, you know, Team Dark are going to win this. And it was actually Stress, the only one that thought the Formulation was going to win this as well. So very, very interesting indeed. And definitely a big surprise.
I think absolutely. They're desperately trying to keep themselves in this game right now. But they can't, and I agree with you. I agree with you. I think maybe we underrated Formulation. I really think we have. I think we've massively underrated Formulation. I think we maybe overrated Team Dark, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day because it's Formulation that will win this series. Incredible performance from them. Better drafting, better play, better macro, better micro, better team fights, better everything. And they deserve this win through and through. I think Team Dark, unfortunately, came thoroughly unprepared to deal with Formulation, who find their way into the semi-finals of the winners bracket and book a slot versus WREC's GG.
Insane performance by the side of Formulation. I think definitely surprising a lot of people, to be fair. I thought this was going to be a really, really close series. The first game was a little bit closer, but our second game, was just a complete stomp. And in the end, Formulation were able to take it down. But again, I feel like it's more on the side of Team Dark as well. You know, as you mentioned, the drafts were not really that great for Team Dark, even in the team fights as well. And the way they were playing these team fights were very uncharacteristic for Team Dark. I've watched this team many times in, you know, different community tournaments as well. And I know what this team could do, and I know what Elegi can do as well. And I think a lot of the community know what this team can do. But Formulation, credit where credit is due. They came out and they went all guns blazing, and honestly was an insane performance for the side of Formulation.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Stu. I think Formulation deserved this through and through. Genuinely, we know, you know, Team Dark have been a coin flip team. I think the way we always painted them as a team that can kind of be amazing or a team that can sometimes not be so much so, but I think at the end of the day, this was one of the days where Formulation deserved every single moment of this win. As I mentioned, I think their drafts were better. I think the way they approached the game was better. Their team fighting was better. Everything about their gameplay today was just superior. And I think the better team almost certainly came out on top. Fico as well, Giga Chad on this Seraphine, really played super well across the entire series. But honestly, everyone played their role. If I'm completely honest with you, everyone played their role about how good or how well they played. Don popped off in the first game. Zawa has been consistent all series, and this time round as well. You even saw UI popping off on that Olaf. So a brilliant, brilliant game from everyone on Formulation Gaming, really.
Yeah, you can see that you can ban away the Gragas, you can ban away the Nunu as well, but it looks like the main focus that what they should have banned away, which we were kind of expecting as well, was banning away the Irelia, maybe even banning away the Seraphine as well, because as you mentioned, you know, Seraphine was a strong pick, kind of strong pick from last year, but some teams maybe have found a way to work around Seraphine, but that also means that teams are not played with or against the Seraphine for such a long time. And this is definitely something I feel like Formulation were practicing in scrims with this kind of Seraphine with Irelia jumping in onto the backline, and it worked out wonders for them.
Yeah, Irelia is such a good chain for the Seraphine ultimate as well, because you can just set it up so nicely. It was slow and steady, but very quickly accelerated from about 13 minutes onwards to a decisive victory at the end here. You can see 19-6. You saw the gold lead, you saw the kill score. I mean, it was a dominating game from Formulation Gaming from start to finish. Really, really well played with them. And again, like I said, they thoroughly deserve this win.
Yeah, 100% deserve the win, and they're going to have to play against WREC in the next round as well. So it doesn't get much tougher than that, to be honest, for Formulation. But they're going to go back. They haven't got long to prepare for that. I think they got like a few weeks or something to prepare for it. So they got a little bit of time, but still, Formulation, congratulations to them, and a very, very strong performance.
So look at the play of the game. Which one do we think it was? Yeah, this is the one that I would have chosen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. Don flash ulti onto the backline. You can see Seraphine as well. I want to kind of focus on the Seraphine. Even though he died in the end from the double assassination, he used his ultimate. He then used his stasis as well, which kind of delayed Zed and Kha'Zix and didn't allow them to get the resets, especially for the Kha'Zix as well. And when you're trying to dive in with this double assassination comp, you need to get the resets for the Kha'Zix. You need to get the early kills, because if you get delayed by stasises or anything like that, then the rest of Formulation can just follow up and just kill the rest of the team. And that's kind of what happened in that team fight. It was Don on the backline with his tower as well, and they were able to clean up that team fight.
Well, let's take a look at who the MVP of this game and series were as we kind of tone back and have a look at who had the most impact overall on Formulation Gaming. And this time round, it is going to be Fico on that Seraphine in the Dragon Lane.
Yeah, very unique pick. We've seen Fico bring out some very, very unique picks before as well. We've seen him play Galio in the duo lane. Now we've seen him play Seraphine in the duo lane as well. The champion pool of this man is absolutely insane. And honestly, a huge credit to him, because like we mentioned, we don't really see Seraphine that much, but it just shows that Seraphine can still be a really strong teamfight champion. And when you have champions around her as well, like the Rakan, like the Aurelia, that can dive on as well and kind of allow Seraphine to follow up and allow the ultimate to extend, it can be really strong. But big props to Don as well on the Aurelia for both the games as well. I definitely feel like he was a contention as well for MVP. But yeah, Fico definitely deserved MVP for this series on the Seraphine.
I absolutely agree. I think he played out of his mind. I think, again, bringing a pick that was super popular last year back into popularity, I think, this year as well, showing that how impactful Seraphine is. And I don't know whether people just forgot or got kind of like overwhelmed by the popularity of the Ziggs Orianna meta, but Seraphine's shown that she can still have the same impact that she did previously, still is a huge teamfight player. And in these situations, we've had so many clutch ultimates, I can barely count how many times Fico like single-handedly had a huge impact in the team fight. So really big win for him. And that now pits them up against WREC's GG, who we saw earlier in the day. How are you feeling about Formulation? I'm thinking it's maybe closer than I previously thought. WREC versus Formulation might prove to be a pretty exciting series, especially because Formulation is so proactive in the early game.
100%. I think it's definitely the draft as well for Formulation. I have to give props to them as well with these kind of unique picks that they're bringing out as well. And like you said, it could be a very close series indeed. And going down to the losers bracket now, you can see Team Dark will be playing off against Weigers, which will be happening tomorrow, and also Na'Vi against Aphelion as well. So both the losers for today, Team Dark and Na'Vi, they kind of have to come back really quickly, because they got until tomorrow to kind of play against the likes of Aphelion and Weigers. In the bottom side as well, you got Team Queso, Blows, Zero Zone, and Control. Some very strong teams in the lower side of the bracket already, which is very scary.
Yeah, that's the thing where you've got to look out for now. You've got the likes of Na'Vi, you've got Queso, Zero Zone, and Team Dark all sat in that bottom end of the bracket. And of course, there's still some good teams on the top side. I will say that I think the Game Lord Viv matchup will be interesting. I expect Game Lord to be the victors there. Of course, tomorrow we still have more games to bring you. We have Team Dark versus Weigers, and then Na'Vi versus Aphelion, and then over on Sunday we'll have Team Queso versus Blows and Zero Zone versus Control. So we're going to round out those loser bracket matchups that we have. It's going to be interesting. Will there be any upsets, do you think, Stu, across this weekend?
Ooh, it's going to be very... I mean, I feel like we've kind of had an upset already with the Formulation Team Dark game, if I'm totally honest with you. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about that. But across the board, I think I have to look at Control. I mean, Control is a team that me and Hells have a very close heart to, and hopefully they can pick up the win. But yeah, it's going to be difficult for all of the teams that won the first side of the lower game bracket, because you look at the teams that come down from the upper bracket, Na'Vi, Team Dark, Team Queso as well. There's a lot of strong teams that come down from the upper bracket, but I think it will be the upper bracket teams that will be able to win across the board for the rest of this weekend. But we've seen upsets happen, and especially because there's a new patch as well. If teams can prepare very quickly and kind of find these niche picks like the Seraphine, that could be the difference in these series.
Absolutely. We're going to bring our boy Hells back into the frame before we say goodbye for the day, because Hells, You're watching from the sideline this time round. How did you feel about that series? What were your takeaways from the Formulation Gaming Team Dark matchup?
My God, I absolutely loved watching it, especially Velko on that Seraphine. I was basically sitting here like, while you guys were casting, I was really holding myself into that, just scream, because those ultimates were crazy, just crazy. Like, honestly, I absolutely watched Formulation Gaming play. They were really good, and they're not playing boring picks. You know, I'm saying boring because we were getting Darius, etc. every game. They're playing these crazy picks, Aurelia, Seraphine, and I really love that about the team, and I want to see more of them.
Yeah, of course, we will get to see more of them throughout the coming weeks here at the WREC. Now, of course, we have those matchups tomorrow. Stuart and Hells, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they play out across this weekend. Of course, we've got all those loser bracket games to come, and there's some amazing teams playing. I'm personally really looking forward to the Spanish showdown of Team Queso versus Blows. I think a very, very country-driven matchup there, which is going to be really interesting to see. But for the time being, that about rounds up our day here at the WREC. With some amazing games. We saw Ricks in action once again. That series was mind-blowingly good, some great highlights, and then we saw Formulation Gaming come out in full strength versus Team Dark. Thank you so much, guys, for watching today. Of course, we're going to be here tomorrow, 1 hour earlier, as we are on the weekends, and we'll be there on Sunday as well, so make sure you come back and check out all of the games that the WREC has to offer this weekend. We'll see you then.